Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Garage Gym Athlete Podcast. I'm your host, Jared Moon. The Garage Gym Athlete Podcast is a result of my desire to build better humans, unequivocal coaches, and autonomous athletes. I've spent the last several years obsessing over program design, nutrition, and every other way you can optimize human performance. This podcast distills the latest scientific research with what I've learned and blends it with the not-so-scientific field of mental toughness. We are here to build you into a dangerously effective athlete. If you enjoy this podcast, you can find out more about our training at garagegymathlete.com. And if you want to pursue more into the field of coaching and programming, head to endof3fitness.com. Thanks for listening. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Garage Gym Athlete Podcast. Jared Moon here with Kyle Schrum.
Hey.
What's up, Kyle?
Get to go first.
And then we have Joe Courtney. What's up, Joe?
Are you sure it's still me?
Barely. It's just barely. And no one's getting the video action right now. So
You have to wait till the newer AMAs come out.
Joe, can I spoil it? Or do you want, is that your update?
Yeah, no, that's whatever.
Yeah, Joe doesn't have a beard anymore. And he got a haircut.
Yeah. I'm fresh to death.
It's weird.
It's fantastic.
Yeah, I'm not handling it well. We did some AMAs today as well, and
hopefully we can provide closure before the end of the week.
it just wasn't the same.
And Ashley doesn't get to see it.
Yeah, Ashley's not here, as we all know, unfortunately. But Kyle, how's your week, man? How's life?
Life is grand. Officially in the new job with PT Biz, so learning the remote work life of that's my whole job, not really having a physical place to have to go to or anything like that, everything being remote. So just learning how to do the whole remote work thing and trying out some new places to work from besides just working at home.
Joe, what tips can you give him?
Yeah, really.
You've been doing this remote work thing for a while.
Oh man, I mean, you guys just got to find a good place that you're not going to be super distracted with. Mm-hmm. One that you can kind of go from standing and sitting as well. And yeah, those are the main things. Yeah, I don't know. That's a really on the spot there. I just had to work wherever I can. And when I was at my brother's, it was kind of on the main floor, but I would have to like leave to go up to another room if he would start watching a bunch of stuff. But headphones in helps some. And just get your schedule down.
Yeah, so I'll be learning that over the next few weeks. Trying to nail that down.
Yeah, I'll be experimenting with that.
Yeah. Well, for me, it's like I like working at home, and it's convenient to be able to work at home. Not have a commute, all that, not have people distract me and stuff like that. But I do still have a couch here and a TV.
Yeah, don't go to that.
And all kinds of food. And so that
I'm just going to send you a bunch of my books, rip off the cover, the front cover of the book, and just like tape it wherever you feel like you shouldn't be hanging out.
Burning chair on chairs.
Yeah. Burning chair and all the chairs.
Anyway. Yeah. So just learning all that, but it's fun. I'm looking forward to it. It's exciting time.
I'm like the worst person to ask about remote work because it's not really, I'm probably the most structured work from home, digital type person. It's like boring, like I want to be in the office at a certain time. I don't want to go anywhere.
Yep.
I don't want to waste any time. And I'm pretty much, that's it. So I don't have a lot. I tried when I first started, I tried going to like coffee shops and like all this other stuff, but then there's little things like you're in the coffee shop and you have to use a bathroom. You got all your stuff out. And if it's super busy in a place that you're not that familiar with, you're like, well, do I leave it all here and trust everyone in the coffee shop? Or do I risk my multi-$1,000 laptop being swiped by someone, while I go pee? And then there's, just getting there and set up and internet issues and loud. So I eventually abandoned that. And now it's just been home ever since.
If I have to do like repetitive tasks for a while, then coffee shop is fine because then I can break the monotony. But if I have to like focus and think and listen to stuff, then it's not. I don't do this.
Yeah, like calls were not going to work at the coffee shop today. Like Jared and I had a call earlier today. It's like, I can't talk to you here. Like, there's too many people.
Yeah,
and
it's super loud.
The air conditioner is right there. You know what I mean? It's like hanging above my head and all that stuff. But like doing all the things that I needed to do before the call, it was fine. You know, it was just kind of monotonous. I can ignore people. But then I was like, man, I looked up and I was like, man, there's a lot more people here than I thought were here. So like, I need to go somewhere else. So,
So I guess Tennessee,
that's going to be fun.
Bringing this back to like a COVID, like they just don't even.
No.
You can't even walk into a Starbucks in Texas right now. They still don't even allow human beings inside.
Well, this was a local place, and it's kind of small anyway. So it's not, when I say it's a lot of people, I meant a lot of people for that space. Like, but there's not a whole lot of people that can fit in that space. You know what I mean? So it's kind of like it fills up kind of quickly. So it was. I like it because it's small, but at the same time, it can still fill up, and those people are not there to be quiet. You know, those people are there to enjoy their time and be loud and have meetings and stuff like that. So it's like, okay, I was here early. I beat all of y'all here. I got some work done. Time to go somewhere else. So
I always wonder what they do for a living too.
I know.
I'm like, what are you doing? I'm sure they wonder the same thing about me, but I'm like, what are you? Because if they're not really working and they look about my age, I'm like, what are you doing?
Mm-hmm.
Like,
it's Tuesday.
Yeah. It's like 9:30 a.m. You're not at work. Like you're just sitting here. Like what? How do you do that?
Yeah, they seem to be like business meetings. Yeah. Some of them, but then some of them are like, we just came in for a jog and now we have a latte and a bagel. And it's like, first of all, pointless to do the jog first. But anyway.
Well,
hopefully we've helped everyone listening with like tips on remote work. Joe,
that should have just been our topic today.
Yeah. Joe, how's your life?
Fantastic now.
Because you don't have to eat your beard?
Yeah, because my beard doesn't get in my mouth. I can probably eat soup again. So, you know, just in time for when it's 97 degrees out. Because as I always say, if you want to cool down, you have some hot soup. So,
or cold milk.
Yeah.
Do you always say that?
Gets called? No, I've never said that.
He's got a shirt that says it.
Yes. Yeah, so the Horcrux is gone on my face. That's basically what it was.
Which means...
Oh, I know what it is, but...
I mean, if you know what it is, then you know. If you don't know, then we're just going to have to derail this podcast to go into what a Horcrux is.
Yeah, we don't need to do that.
No, not... What does it mean that, like, why is your beard shaved off? There's a reason for that, right?
Oh, well, I mean, what you're saying now.
That's a minor reason. No, Liz is finally off her ship, and we'll be back.
There you go.
This weekend.
So if you're just catching up, he was boycotting the world.
Grooming.
By not shaving or cutting his hair until his wife got off of her ship. She's an officer in the Navy, and she was set free. And Joe...
So I decided that in April, thinking, because you're supposed to get off in May, thinking, oh, okay, maybe it's just going to go into June. So it's like, all right, maybe in June I'll get a cut. Well, here we are in mid-August, and yeah, it kind of escalated and not great. So yeah, it's awesome.
It was getting rough for all of us. Let's be honest.
Yes.
And you have to actually be in that exact situation to where your wife is stuck on a ship or quarantined somewhere. Because if I was like, you know what, that seemed like fun. I'm going to not shave or cut my hair for 6 months. That wouldn't go over well. Living with my wife every single day, you know? So
yeah, she wouldn't allow it.
Exactly. You have to be in that situation.
Really dumb wearing a mask and having a hair stick out on all sides of your mask. Just saying.
I've been seeing people like that, and I'm like, man, how are you even wearing them? Like, there's so much hair on your face. How is the mask even there?
How does this work?
Yeah. So that's the main ones. Cool. Yeah, not really anything different with training. Still homeless. So that's, lived the life in my parents' house.
Well, update from me. I am fully moved in the garage, at least. I don't know about the house. No, the house is like 90% there. Garage is, I'd say 100% there. Posted a picture in the Facebook group so people could kind of see how I set it up. And what's interesting, I mentioned last time that I went from this fancy 3-car garage, Kyle, down to a 2-car garage. But this is a much older home, the one I'm living in now. And I guess they built garages bigger back then because I have all the same matting, all the same floor matting that I use. And every square inch of my previous house was covered in black rubber mats from Tractor Supply, those kind. and I was laying them all down in this new space and ran out of mats. And there's still like open concrete space. So I'm like, okay, this is much bigger. Like it's a much larger. So it's actually a bigger garage gym than I had previously, which is cool, but it took me actually seeing square footage to notice that. But it's also a detached, uninsulated garage. And what I did not know is that comes with it basically being a sauna. It's actually a mild grade sauna. And the reason I say that is because I guess it has the vents on top and the sun hits it and it gets hot. But not only does it get hot, it sucks the humidity out of it, because Dallas is actually a pretty humid place. Like people don't know that, but it can get really humid here and really hot. That's what makes it so terrible. But the humidity is like 20% lower, because I have a little thermometer I stick on my whiteboard that gives you humidity and temperature. It's about 20% lower than my previous garage gym, which is like 5 miles away. And so it's actually sucking out the humidity somehow, but increasing the temperature. But it got up to 115 the other day. Like that's nonsense. Heat in the garage gym. So I look at it as a welcome challenge. The cool thing about Texas summers or Texas weather is that there's only like a 3-month horrific portion of the summer where it's like this hot, but then the other 9 months of the year are great, like weather-wise. They're not like the winters aren't too cold. Fall is pretty decent. Spring's awesome. But right now we're in that like super hot area. So I had to move my workout times to morning, because unless I was training for the Hotter in Hell, which isn't happening right now because of COVID, I would stick in the middle of the day, but I was kind of doing middle of the day. I had to move back to mornings where I think it's only 90 degrees in there when I start in the morning, as opposed to 115.
You have some saunaception going on.
Well, then, yeah, there's another sauna in there.
Mm-hmm.
And what's funny is if you get in the sauna inside this garage, it's 20 degrees cooler.
Because it's insulated.
In the sauna. Because Emily was
turn it on.
Because we have to get an electrician to come hook this thing up, and I still haven't got the electrician to come hook it up yet. And she was like, I bet it's, because it was like, we were in there the other day, it was like 115, and she's like, I bet it's even hotter in the sauna. You probably don't even need this guy to come hook the thing up. And I was like, well, let's see. Because I have there's a temperature gauge inside the sauna too. So I get in there and it was like 88 degrees. And I was like, well, this is nice. It's like the opposite of what a sauna should be doing.
Get in there and take a nap.
Yeah. So it's a weird situation, but I really do enjoy it. I love the new house, new space, new garage gym. So yeah, maybe I'll do I was going to do a video, but I have all the same stuff. I didn't get any new equipment, so I don't know if it's worth doing.
You can figure something out when I get there.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Okay. Joe has a plan. There we go.
Yeah. See, wait ahead.
All right.
We all had really big updates this week.
Big updates. Remote work.
Good podcast so far.
Well, yeah. I mean, these updates are for learning, right?
That's it.
Like people know more about remote work now. They know what happens if they're looking at a detached garage versus an attached garage. They know grooming of facial hair is important. Like just a lot of good things.
Solidarity.
Yeah.
Listen, solidarity.
All right. So we're really talking about accessory work this week as far as the science goes. And the study is the effect of targeted resistance training on bench press performance and the alternation of prime mover muscle activation patterns. And all that means is that they were basically looking at if accessory work could help lagging muscles, to put it in the most simple terms. So they had, 27 people do 6 weeks of targeted training. And I'm going to break it down real like layman's terms here. They would measure different muscles surrounding the bench press specifically. And they would use an EMG to see where the lagging muscles is. And the reason I really like this study is because as Joe knows too, having gone to a lot of physical therapy, when you get injured, it's typically something else. It's not like if you hurt your knee or your quad, unless there was some sort of trauma, some acute reason, it's normally like a chronic thing that happens over and over again, and it's a different muscle or lack of activation from a muscle that's causing a prime mover to not function properly. And that's why I think this is a really cool study, because they're kind of getting to that, but they measured everything with an EMG, and they wanted to see if doing more targeted accessory work would help activate these muscles more with the EMG, measuring the EMG pre and post, and the drum roll, please, it worked. I mean, it definitely worked. You can look at the anterior deltoid, pectoralis major, triceps brachii, and just looked at the pre and post test from the charts, and you'll see that there was significant increase through doing some of that accessory work. And that's the short of it. What did you guys think about the study?
I'll go. I think one thing I took away from it was the 3 different muscle groups they were training for each test. So for the pre and post test, those muscle group, whichever muscle group you were training, the activation for that muscle group went up in each one of them. But the other 2 muscle groups went down in every instance. And so to me, it proved how important accessory work is, and that's why we put it in our programming. But it also proved to me that don't isolate your accessory work. Does that make sense? Like don't find one,
or hyper focus.
Right. Don't find one muscle group that you really like to train, or one particular movement or set of movements that you like to do for accessory work, and just stick with it. Because they did this over 6 weeks. So 6 weeks worth of training, the guys who were training their delts saw improvement, but their pecs and their triceps decreased in performance. And it was the same thing for the other 2. Whichever one they were training, it went up, but the other 2 went down in each group. And so don't isolate or hyper focus on your accessory work. Make sure that you're spreading your accessory work around and hitting all the different muscle groups, instead of just finding one that you enjoy doing and sticking with it.
This is all about muscle contractor practice, what it came down to, kind of. I think that this proves that Sexy Saturday wins, maybe? No,
it definitely does.
No, it does.
Mm-hmm.
But with the doing the small muscle stuff, when I was going to PT for my shoulder, all the pain that I was getting was centered around my deltoid in the front and the back. But it found out that my lower trap and mid back was actually the thing that wasn't turning on. So wasn't even feeling it back there, but it was lacking in muscle so much that it was causing my shoulder to internally rotate forward, and then causing pinching and tightness and stuff like that. So that's just one example of how for PT that it could be better. But I know that also my glutes weren't always firing that well because of having really tight hips. So I try and get more, and especially with my hamstring injury. So adding in my curls or my bicep days and doing some extra glute work before I would squat. So that would just be regular strength accessory stuff that I knew I needed to add in to improve my lifts. But this sort of focusing on a muscle group is also great as a warm up. So before I squat, I would do some hip mobility and then hip bridges to activate those glutes, because I know that I needed a little extra attention to focus on those specific muscles, so that when I did squat, they were woken up and they were ready to go, versus just squatting and then not being quite ready. So it's good for, this, it showed that the accessory work is good for a long term. It was kind of cool that they primarily focused on the accessory work versus just, I think they benched once per week, but they were doing accessory work 3 times per week. So in the long run, accessory work is great, but also to do it, if you have one lagging muscle, I think it would be just as well to do that as a warm up before your lifts.
Yeah, and one thing to note, and another reason I really like this study, they were all very well trained.
Yes,
so that's why
5 years of experience.
They had to have at least 5 years of resistance training experience and be pretty strong. And we talked, I think it was just as recent as the last podcast, and we mentioned it multiple times about how stupid some of these studies can get when you're just dealing with people who are, untrained, and you get them to do something and then you show a result. These are people who are very well trained, and So that's another reason I think that this study carries a lot of weight. Really just should be doing your accessory work. If you're doing garage gym athlete programming, you're already doing something that body geometry is a massive fix to this problem. And what Joe was talking about, like if you can add some simple, like we call it block zero, but if you want to do whatever you can do whatever you want. Just some simple activation exercises, like that's all warming up really, other than the actual warm up, getting your body warm, blood pumping, all those things, but like activating the muscles that you're about to engage in surrounding muscles as well is always great. That's why we are always promoting something with no financial kickback like crossover symmetry, because that's a great, I just don't know if there's a better, shoulder activation system out there that gets you ready for pressing. I know when I do crossover symmetry before pressing, just the difference in my shoulders, it's like night and day difference, because just a simple activation exercise. I'm talking about with light bands, just getting my shoulders warmed up, my scapula, engaged. It just makes everything so much different. And that's kind of what we have going on here, but you should be training accessory work. If you're doing our programming, you already are, and also throwing it into your warm up. So those would kind of be my takeaways: is don't ignore the accessory, and make sure it's in your warm up. And if you're following our programming, I feel like it's all check. Like you're good. You're doing all of it. You guys have anything else on this one?
That was pretty clear, short and sweet.
Yeah, it wasn't too crazy. You could dive into a lot more if you wanted to, but accessory work's important. Do it. Now we're going to be talking about tempo lifting and the benefits of such. So I guess I'll go over the main parts, and then I'll see what you guys have to say. So we want to talk about tempo lifting, and something we want to start, let's just say, tackling on the podcast are some of these bigger areas in our programming that we get a lot of questions about. Like we get questions about tempo lifting, about cluster sets, about energy system training. And I think tackling one of these areas one by one, it gives us as a team a great place to send athletes when they have questions about the science behind it, or why we do it, or what the benefits are. We have a place to point people. So this one will kind of be tempo lifting. And like Joe, we did this as an AMA, right? We talked a little bit about tempo lifting.
Tempo breathing during tempo lifting.
Yeah,
just if you want more about breathing as well.
So tempo lifting is just lifting. It's basically breaking down all the different muscle contractions in a lift and putting a time element to them. So and how we program it, and it's different. I don't use some coaches use the X. I don't use the X. I think it's stupid. Because it means that for them, that means explode. Explode starts with an E. It doesn't start with an X. And also tempo is supposed to be time-based, and X is not time.
I hope VD isn't listening.
So yeah, I know. I don't like it. And a lot of I think I might be the only one who does it this way. So maybe I'm the dumb one, but yeah, I don't like the X and that's how it's taught a lot of places. We write it just time. Each element is a time. So if we're talking about the squat, we would program something like 4010, and this is just so people have a good understanding of exactly what tempo is. So 4010 would be 4 seconds on the way down, a 0 second pause. So we have the eccentric, we have the isometric, 0 seconds at the isometric, then concentric. So your muscles are shortening again, is 1 second, and then 0 second pause at the top, which should be isometric, but it's kind of not isometric because you're not really holding a position at 0 seconds. So if it was 4-1-1-1, it'd be 4 seconds down, 1 second pause, 1 second on the way up, 1 second pause at the top. And that is how tempo works in execution. And then I'll hand it over to you guys, and I can talk about some of the benefits of tempo lifting, but I don't want to steal everything here. What do you guys have to say about tempo lifting?
So with the just clarification on the up and down part. So that would be the first number for the down part is like when the squat, it starts to go down, but with pull up, that first number, you're starting at the top of the bar and you're lowering yourself down. Right. I know in the past I've gotten that confused as well. Tempo sucks. It really does, but it's something that will really help you nail down your form. And it's something that's also kind of good for warming up. So nailing your form down, warming up to get ready for maybe some more explosive or some heavier lifts. I've used it in the past with lighter barbells. So going down, lowering into the squat, and then holding it at the bottom of the squat, getting really set and secure. Because if you're holding the weight at the bottom of the squat or going down, you're going to kind of feel if you're shifting certain ways or if you're twisting certain ways or not level. So tempo is a good way to do that. And yeah, if you need some help about breathing, we did, just to go really quick, is I breathe normal during tempo how I normally would, take a breath at the top, hold that breath on the way down, and then breathe out on the way out. Because unless you're doing like a 6+ second tempo, you don't really need to breathe. You don't need to be taking breaths in mid, because then you're going to,
which I have programmed.
Yeah, you have done 8-second ones for goblet squats.
Eight on goblet squats.
And everybody was just like, I was so dizzy. Yeah,
they're passing out.
Those are an exception. They are, just some of the fun on hard to kill.
Yeah.
So yeah, you're not going to be doing anything crazy with your breath. You're just kind of breathe normal, because keeping your core stability during tempo is a big thing. So you're not breaking down. Kyle?
Well, I like tempos. I may not like them as much when I'm doing them, but I see the purpose of them. And I agree with Joe about it. It kind of forces you to focus on your technique, right? It forces you to do it correctly and to really think about the movement itself. By forcing yourself to slow down, you're having to think about what your body's doing through each piece of each movement. And so it's kind of a mental toughness exercise to me. I would just say when you're doing tempo, focus on perfect reps. With tempo, you're probably going to have to lower the weight from what you would normally do. Normally on back squat, you're going to do X. With tempo, if you're having to count 4 seconds on the way down, even if you're not doing as many reps as you might do in a normal set, you're still going to need to lower that weight, because that time under tension is really going to take its toll on your muscles over time throughout the sets. And so
that's a big complaint we hear too. If you've never done tempo lifting, even if you're a pretty strong athlete, and you come into our programming and we have tempo lifting, it's always like, I couldn't do 70% or 65. And it's like, it's probably just because you've never done this before. Mm-hmm. There are a lot of athletes who don't struggle with it, and there are some that do. Now I've programmed some pretty aggressive ones just to see where people are at, but I always tell people to keep the tempo, but decrease the weight. But yeah, you're right. I see that happen all the time.
Yeah. But that focus on perfect reps, like to me, that's what tempo is for.
Yeah.
It's to perfect your technique. It's to force you to slow down and to really be cognizant of how you're doing the movement. And so really, if it's movement practice, it really kind of should be, lower weight. It should be something where you can handle the weight while also concentrating on doing it perfectly. Obviously, you don't want to be doing imperfect reps ever, but it really forces you to do that. And especially with things like squats or like back squats or like front squats or something like that, where you're being, especially like for front squats, for me, like tempo front squats are just like, man, they really, kill my ego. You know what I mean? Because if you're not keeping your core as tight as you're supposed to with a front squat, you're going to cave really, really easily. And if you try to go too heavy on a tempo front squat, you're going to get humbled really quick.
Elbows too.
Yeah. So, and so that's what I like them for. Yeah. Front squats are uncomfortable anyway, but I kind of like them because of that.
Yeah. They've been my favorite.
Yeah. So benefits of tempo lifting, Kyle kind of mentioned it, increased time under tension. So you continue to gain strength, because it's not always, let's switch the program. Let's do this, that, or the other secret thing for more strength gains. It doesn't always have to be a linear progression. Another way you can get stronger is just time under tension. And in body weight programming, this is what's often missed. I get this question a lot, like, how do you program body weight stuff? There has to be a ton of tempo stuff in body weight, because there's only one way. Like, you weigh as much as you weigh. Like, if you don't have access to a vest or whatever. And so the only way to actually get stronger and still keep seeing results with bodyweight stuff is to add tempo to your push-ups, add tempo to your pull-ups. And in the one-man system, we even add tempo to sit-ups. And so it's just doing all these things in different ways, trying them dynamic, trying them slow. So increased time under tension is a big benefit to tempo lifting in barbell training and bodyweight training. It's corrective in nature. So you guys kind of mentioned that it fixes what you suck at. It's not like, like Joe said, if you're in the bottom and you're leaning one way or the other, like you're gonna realize that. It'll improve your barbell mechanics. It'll reduce your risk of injury, especially if you are starting with these lighter loads. And it kind of forces you. You can't really have an ego with tempo training because the weight will just crush you. There's no if I'm like telling you to do a deadlift and you want to pull too much weight because your ego and hurt your back, that's one thing. But if I'm telling you to do a barbell back squat with a certain tempo, you either can hold those tempo times or you can't. There's no muscling your way through it. And so it's definitely going to reduce your chance of risk of injury with the ego. And it's great. There's not many things that are like this, but it's phenomenal for beginners. Just absolutely phenomenal because they need to learn how to use their body. They need to get that mind muscle connection established a little bit more. And it's phenomenal for advanced athletes. Like it's great for both fully across the spectrum because it's going to push those advanced athletes and it's also going to help beginner athletes get better. And the metabolic response. This is where lifting can turn into a little bit of aerobic conditioning. Depending on how in shape or out of shape you are, it could be straight up be high intensity training if you're not in good enough shape. So it is a really beneficial for multiple reasons. And we don't program it like every week, but it is something that you probably see every cycle. If not a tempo, then you'll see a cluster. But yeah, that's about it. Just some things like when you shouldn't use tempo lifting, some other notes I have here. Don't use it with anything that's dynamic in nature, like wall shots, muscle ups, snatches, things like that. And also if you are actually a powerlifter or whatever, don't use this as like your primary way to get stronger. You need to practice what you're doing, right? You need to be able to do those things. And so make sure you're doing normal lifts as well. And we program that stuff quite frequently. So if you're following our programming, you wouldn't see a problem with that. But yeah, that's about everything I have on tempo lifting. I had one more thing, but I just forgot it. So who knows if that'll ever resurface. I was going to mention one man, one barbell, because this is like going back to like accessory work. Like when I first started one man, one barbell, there was very little accessory work involved. And then there's an entire update. We used to update it every single year dedicated to accessory work because I realized that was going to be important for athletes' continued progress. And then same with, this was an update one year too, is adding tempo lifting because we saw some massive results. I had about 20 athletes sign up for like the beta. This was years ago when I wanted to do this, and tempo lifting I feel like is a little bit more commonplace these days, but it wasn't. And so I had a bunch of athletes test it who had been doing one man, one barbell for like a year or more. So this is like, there is no garage gym athlete at this time. And the strength increases they had from like, they were just having like these minimal gains. Cause if you're just following a linear strength program over and over again, you might get 5 pound PRs here and there or whatever. But once they added tempo lifting, it was just, I ended up naming it the daisy cutter, which if you're familiar with the military, daisy cutter is a bomb that just freaking like blows a giant hole in the earth. It's like to clear out jungles and stuff. They use them in Vietnam. It's not even necessarily like it will kill people, but that's not what it's designed to. It's basically to make a desert out of anywhere. It's not a nuke. So anyway, we named that update daisy cutter because of everyone just seeing these massive PRs after implementing tempo lifting into their training. So if you're not doing it, if you're listening to this, you're not following our training, you haven't seen it before, definitely give it a try. Definitely be worth it. All right. Anything else tempo lifting before we move on to Bambi?
Nope. I think we're good.
Bambi. So I feel like I need to set the table.
Okay, go ahead.
So I think 2 months ago, you didn't even tell us about this, but you and Marco were already kind of doing it. And you posted just a GIF on the closed group of Bambi saying, "Hey, there's a new Meet Yourself Saturday," and people were guessing of what it was. I mean, everybody was wrong because it's ridiculous. The meeting afterwards, you kind of just told us a brief overview of like, oh yeah, it has this, and then it has this, and then it has this, and then this. And I'm just like, holy crap, this is going to be terrible. And Marco posted, and then I asked again because now that it's coming up, Marco posted in our group chat a week or two ago, and I kind of read it over, but you said you needed to tweak it and do a little bit here and there, and I didn't even like fully take it seriously. So you're kind of officially breaking it to us right now. Like we have a brief understanding of it, but you're breaking it to us as well. So
what I know about it makes me want to throw up.
Yeah. Well, I was going to make it harder to officially make it Meet Yourself Saturday, but I decided against it because I think if you do it, this is one of those workouts that you can Joe. That's what I'm.
Oh man! Oh, shots fired.
Where you can make it easier if you want to. It's kind of up to you. You know, you can overpace it. Well, not at the beginning, but there are other things that you could pace. So I was gonna like, how could I make it impossible to pace? And specifically talking about some of these intervals, but I decided not to do that. It's just like you, at your own mercy, you do what you want to do.
That's part of the mental toughness is, are you going to push it and make it difficult, or are you going to kind of pace it and take it easy?
Because I've done this workout like 4 times, and I've done both. I did that was the worst workout maybe of my life. Not really, but it was just bad because it's all leg heavy. And then I've done it a little bit less intensity, and it wasn't as bad. So you can sandbag. I won't use any other.
Now I'm just a sandbagger. So you just made it even worse. I call it pacing, but you're just saying sandbag now. All right.
So anyway, here's Bambi. So it starts off. I'm pretty certain that you're supposed to be wearing a vest. So just wait till the official athlete brief. But I'm going to go ahead and say vest on. Maybe this is me making it harder right now. So you have one set of 200 unbroken air squats. So you need to do 200 air squats without stopping, meaning you need to set a pace in which you can do that. But I already set the pace for you. If you're a competitor, that's 4 minutes and 20 seconds or less. And then add 1 minute per level. So established 520, recruit 620. And it'll be very much like, what is it? Stairway to Heaven. If you don't get it under the time cap, start over. Joe already loves it. We're just getting started in this thing.
Yeah. Man. We haven't gone anywhere yet.
It's easier when you see it. It's going to take longer to brief. So you do these 200 air squats in a time frame. If you don't hit the time frame, you need to start over add the additional minute, just like we do in Stairway to Heaven. So if you I'm going competitor 420, 200, and I didn't make this ridiculous, by the way. 200 unbroken air squats in 420 is not like running a 5-minute mile. I mean, you can do this. So if you're flirting with competitor, just do it. So after that, rest until you feel like you're fully recovered. That's very vague. So rest until you feel like you're good to go. And then you're going to do 150 unbroken air squats with the competitor goal being under 3 minutes and 15 seconds. And again, add a minute per level there. You don't have to start over if you don't get that one. So it's only the first one that you start over on.
That was the buy-in.
That was the buy-in. And then you're going to do preferably an erg or an airdyne. So like a bike, stationary bike or an airdyne. You're going to do 4 times 2,000 meters. You can row if you want to. It just won't be as bad on the legs as I'd like for it to be. And you need to do it the highest resistance that you have. So if you're on the bike, whatever you can crank that thing up to. If you're on the rower, crank that up. Airdyne, just pedal harder, I guess, unless there's resistance on your airdyne. Some of them do, some of them don't. And so you got four times 2,000 meters with 3 minutes rest between at a high resistance. And then after that, you're going to do 100 reverse hypers or back extensions. And then finish it out with 2 800-meter runs with a 1-to-1 work to rest ratio. So see, I feel like the 4 times 2,000 meter and the 2 by 800 is where you could just go slow, right? If you want to. But I'm urging you to push yourself on these. So that is the workout, high resistance. And I mean, I prefer if you have machines like transition from like being on a bike or being on the rower and then doing the last one as a run. If your only option is to run, what would be better on the 4 by 2,000 meters would be to do like a sled push or something because of what I'm trying to accomplish. But if you don't have the sled push, then just run. So look, I know it took a while to say all that, but let's just break it down. It's some air squats, rest, some air squats, go into a couple 2,000 meters, do some reverse hypers, run a couple laps, and then you're done.
So all you technically need for this workout is a bike, a stationary bike.
Yeah. And a vest.
And a vest, yeah.
Mm.
So explain why it's called Bambi.
I mean, I feel like it's self-explanatory.
Because
it might not be to some people.
Well, this is leg heavy, and if you are doing if you're on the bike resistance, high resistance, that'll be enough right there. But yeah, Marco and I have done it a few times, and we just kind of feel like Bambi after the fact. So that is Bambi. It's a brutal
legs.
One. And I'm gonna have to ask Marco if we did a vest on those air squats because I cannot recall right now. So you're getting most of the brief here, but the official brief, just watch the video and it'll be very clear.
Yeah, it'll be rough.
You guys have any, like, just sitting here and amazed? Any tips going through this one? Theoretical tips since you haven't done it yet.
Freaking warm up.
There you go. That's a good one.
Do something to get your legs warmed up before you jump into don't jump into this cold because, yeah, this one's going to tax you. This one's going to hurt.
Form on air squats. Don't be hunching or leaning over because you want to put it on your legs even though it's going to suck. I mean, but the object is to beat up your legs on this. But you don't want for it to go into your lower back because then once your lower back starts to seize up, you're not going to be any good and it's just going to be more miserable in a not productive way.
So that happened to me the first time I did this one. So that's a really good tip for Joe. Yeah. I was just trying to get them done, right? And I was leaning forward quite a bit and I felt it in my back. Like I wasn't unaware of what was happening, but I was like, I think my lower back will be fine was my thinking. And I made it through the workout, but the next couple of days was not fun. My lower back was super sore. And so, yeah, just keep that chest upright.
Well, you got those back extensions or reverse hypers in there too. I mean, that's going to light your back up anyway. So you don't want to,
pre-light it up before that.
Yeah, you don't want to light it up before you light it up, you know.
Yes, there it is.
Just
don't light it up before you light it up. Just light it up once.
All right. Anything else?
No, I don't think so.
I think this is gonna be a fan favorite. It's a good one.
We'll see. There'll
be lots of posts. I know.
They'll let us know in a Facebook group.
Yeah. That's gonna be the funnest part.
Yeah. So let us know what you guys think of this. The newest Meet Yourself Saturday at Garage Gym Athlete. We don't often reveal these. The next one I'm thinking about, did you guys see?
I know the next one, because the time you told us Bambi, the other one, you said what you were going to do as well, because it was already a workout, Blitzkrieg.
Oh, Blitzkrieg, yeah.
Because what you said,
it's a combination. Because I programmed Blitzkrieg, and then it was like this. Then the second thing I programmed was like the second Blitzkrieg is over, run 2 miles for time or something. I can't remember what it was.
Immediately. It was 20 minutes. Yeah.
20 minutes 20 minutes max distance.
So you're like, I'm going to do Blitzkrieg, but I just got to make it harder.
Yeah. So that one's probably coming. And then another one, Jeremy Puskas. Yeah. He was on the Garage Gym Athlete podcast, might be listening right now. He recommended it in the group the other day. You know how we just did Dia de los Muertos where there's a bunch of death by workouts?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
He mentioned doing Murph in a death by format, if that makes sense. So it would take a long time, though, is my only thing. Mm-hmm. So, like, you know how death by works? Like, you do 1 rep the first minute, 2 reps the second minute, and he broke it down to, like, how many... So you'd start with 10 meter shuttle runs, right? You'd go 10 meters the first minute, 20 meters the second minute, 30 meters the third minute, until you get to 1,600 meters for your first mile. And then you do the same for pull-ups, push-ups, squats. The only change I think I would make is I would make the death by all the reps in 1 minute, as opposed to like taking a bunch of minutes to do pull-ups and a bunch of minutes. Like, anyway, I have to work that one out a little bit. But the death by, doing Murph death by style sounds like a
lot of math.
I mean, once you do it, it's not that bad. Once you got it all out there, it's not that bad. The calisthenics, I just don't want the workout to take like 2 hours, because it wouldn't even be that hard if you broke up Murph over 2 hours. What makes Murph hard is typically like truncated the time down. But that's it. You guys have anything else? Lots of behind the scenes happening today. Yeah. Too much, Kyle? Does it make you uncomfortable? You're normally our behind the scenes. I know. I mean, y'all. That's why you're calling it out. Yeah, y'all played into me several times for it, and we're just giving the whole process.
We're just mentally preparing them for.
We're doing behind the scenes. You do company secrets. That's the difference.
Sneak peeks on things that will be revealed. You reveal things that never should be revealed.
There we go. Got that down. Okay. Well, thank you so much, everybody, for listening to the Garage Gym Athlete podcast. Hey, leave us a 5-star review, positive comment. Go a long way. You can really mention something about Joe's beard in a review. Like, if that happens,
not coming back.
I'll send you something. I'll send you a shirt, maybe. Something like that. If we get a review with a beard, a Joe beard in there. You might have to go to the YouTube channel to see it. So anyway, maybe name Joe's beard in a review. There we go.
There'll probably be some pictures in the group, the closed group.
There we go.
Which you have to be a member to be in the closed group.
So I just came up with that giveaway right now. So review.
Funny because they come to me and I have to do
for the podcast. And if you have the best name for Joe's beard in a review, I'll give you a free T-shirt. There it is. Boy. Or banner. If you want that Garage Gym Athlete banner, those seem to be a fan favorite. So I'm going to name Joe's beard now. Okay. We do one of those banners. Yeah, you have to go into the podcast app to do that. All right, but if you want to join our training where we really are trying to put the science into practical application for you guys, talking about this accessory work, body geometry, all the things that we are thinking through. That way you're not just doing programs. Like I haven't gotten this in a long time, but I got it the other day. Someone posted on one of our Facebook posts, why would I do this when there's so much stuff for free? And my response generally to those types of people are, if you're getting great results with free, you should keep doing free. Like, but you don't need to come here. Like, that's fine. But if you feel like there's someone out there, or maybe a group or organization or team that can maybe do it a little bit better than you, maybe think about some things that you're not thinking about, possibly write a program better than you because they're not doing it part-time after work or, on their lunch break. It's like a full-time occupation. Then, hey, you can pay a nominal fee, in my opinion, for how much we really try and value and provide to the athlete. Come give Garage Gym Athlete a try. You do 14-day free trial. It's not a marriage. We want you to test it out because we don't really want you here if you don't like it. You get to try it out for 2 weeks. Absolutely free. We have 97 different tracks, I think, Joe, last I counted.
That feels like it.
It feels like it. So we have a bunch of tracks for multiple different goals. So if you're on the fence, hey, come join us. Now, all of you listening who are already one of our Garage Gym Athletes, you're awesome. And you are what keep me personally going each and every single week. So thank you for being here. And you got to do Bambi. Just do it and do it the proper way. All right? Because this is me. I left in some ambiguity on how to execute some things. Do it the right way. And let me know how it went. Post it in the group. But that's it. That's it for this week, guys. Thanks for listening. Thanks for being part of the community. I'm out. Thanks for listening to the Garage Gym Athlete podcast. If you want to learn more, go to garagegymathlete.com. You can learn about our training. Let us send you a copy of our book, The Garage Gym Athlete, or you can even get featured on the Garage Gym Athlete podcast. Thanks for listening.